the hundreds and thousands of you online, they can record it. So fine.
What's going on in Israel? Did they really fake going in there?
Yeah.
Going in there, their artillery, it was an unclear statement, which people.
Let's go.
All right, yeah. All right, we are on Lama Gimel and Aleph. We left off on the top, 3 lines from the top. So we were talking about, once again, the avoda that was done in the morning. And see, we got people on. All right, so it says over there, Abaye, last word in the 3 lines on the top. Abaye, Masader, Barocha, Mishmei, the Gemara. So Abaye was Masader. He said the order, right? He had the order. He taught the order of the Maracha of in the morning in terms of the pyres, in terms of what was the avoda that were done in the morning, right? And he did it. Halach l'Moshe Misina Mishmei the Gemara va'aliba the Abashol, right? The name of Abashol. So here is the order, the order that was performed in the morning. Maracha gedola kedemus la maracha shnia. So the first one comes is preparing the pyre, right? The fire that was going to be on the mizbeach, the larger one, right? Which is going to be on the right hand side, I believe, which is going to be the east, right? Maracha gedola kedemus la maracha shnia. That came before. There was a smaller one that was used to the maracha shnia was on the left hand side, right? And that was used to burn incense. That was whatever incense was burned on the mizbech. So that was the smaller second one on the left hand side. And maracha shnia shel maracha shel kataris of kataris and maracha shnia shel kataris. And the second, the smaller part of the kataris was before it was kademas the siddur shnei gezir eitzim. That was before the 2 wooden logs that were placed upon the larger maracha, the first one. So first you prepare the fire for the first one, for the larger one. Then you prepare the wood for the smaller one, and then you put the 2 logs back on the large one. And then the arranging of the 2 logs upon the larger pyre was done before the cleaning of the mizbech hapnimi, the mizbech inside the heichal, the mizbech hapnimi, and the one the mizbech hapnimi that was cleaned out. That was before the preparation of 5 of the 7 candles of the menorah. Right, the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash was 7 candles. And the preparation of the 5 candles, that came before the morning blood. Right, before the morning blood. That was the performance of the korban that was done up until the application of the blood, right? The damatamid kaidem la'atavas shnei neiros, and the blood of the tamid came before the preparation of the other 2 neiros that were not done yet. La'atavas shnei neiros, then the preparation of those 2 candles. Kaidem la'ktairas came before the ktairas that was burnt on the inside. The ktairas, and the ktairas was kaidem le'ivarim, that came before the limbs that were placed upon the mizbeach to burn, right? Ve'ivarim le'mincha, and then the limbs came before the mincha offering that came with that accompanied the tamid, right? U'mincha le'chavitin, and the mincha offering of the tamid was came before the chavitin, that was the kohen gadol's mincha offering that was split and brought twice a day, once in the morning, once ben arbayim. The chavitim, the offering of the kohen gadol, the half mincha that was brought in the morning, the nesachim that came before the libations of the tamid, the nesachim, the musafin, and the libations came before any sort of musaf offerings, i.e., Shabbos or Yantef, right? Musafin, the bzichin, and the musaf, the extra offerings were came before the bzichin, the spoons of frankincense that were placed upon the lech apanim, was zichin. And the bezichin came before the tamid shel ben arbayim. That came before the tamid shel ben arbayim, and there is your schedule. Shenamar, as the pasuk says, "V'hiktir la chalvei hashlamim Allah hashalim." So how do we know that basically the one in the beginning was the tamid? Because it says over there, "V'hiktir la chalvei shlamim," that you offer in it the fats of the shlamim Allah hashalim kol karbanos kula. So upon it, in other words, the tamid comes first because everything else that comes later comes after the tamid. Fine. Omar Mar. Now let's get into this Bryce. Now we're going to break it down. We're going to see why the order is. I don't know if 8 or 9 things we just mentioned. That's my guess, right? Could be more. So that what is the order? So Amar. So that was the Maracha Shniya Shalkataras, the larger pyre. What came before the Maracha Shniya Shalkataras, and both of them were on the large outer mizbeach. So we know. Where do we know this from? The Tana of the Brisa. It says He ha'oila al mukta al mizbeach kol halayla. So it says over there, right, it's a couple of psukim we're going to be looking at. So one of the first pasuk over here is Vav, Veikra Vav, Pasuk Beis. It says over there, Hiya Oila al Muta al Mizbech Kol Halayla. Right, so it's a Kol Halayla Zom Meracha Gedola. It says, and this is referring to the Ola, right? That is first on the Mizbech of the entire night. Zom Meracha Gedola. That's the first one. The Eish HaMizbech Tukad Bo, and then the fire of the Mizbech should be upon it. Zo Meracha Shnia. That is the second one. Shel K'tairas. That is the one of the Ketar. So you see that the first was mentioned, the Meracha Gedola, and then the Meracha Shnia. So therefore, the first one comes before the second one. So the Gemara says, why don't you switch it around? It doesn't say Meracha Gedola, Meracha Shnia, right? So why are you assigning the first one, right? Both of them are on the Mizbeach. Why are you assigning the first one to the Gedola and the second one to that of the Ketaras? So the Gemara answer is no. Mistabra, Meracha Gedola, Adifa, will say the larger pyre was bigger. Why should King Kaparas Maruba? Because it has multiple carbonos offered upon it, and therefore that takes precedence. So the Gemara says, Adarabba, Maracha Shni Adifa, Shekem Achnisim, Imena Lifni. No, the second maracha is maybe more important because from there, right, we bring the coals into the inside, right? Into the inside, the coals are taken from there. So Gemara says, no, Afilu Hachi, Kaparas Maruba Adifa. Now, first of all, I'll argue two things. First of all, having more karbanos offered on the larger maracha is more important than being able to take the coals on the inside. Right? So therefore, we'll say that as marchash. And Ibo is saying, or I can give you another one. Right? If you didn't have enough fire or enough wood for the maracha shnia, you take the maracha rishona. So therefore, in theory, right, theoretically, right, you could take from the Meracha Rishona also to the inside if there was nothing on the Shnia. So therefore, that which you said the Meracha Shnia is more important because we can take the wood from there on the inside. Well, that also applies to the Meracha Gedola, and therefore the Meracha Shnia really takes no precedence at all. And therefore, we'll say the Meracha Gedola comes first and the Meracha Shnia comes second. Fine. Next case of the price. Then we said Meracha Shnia Shakteres Kaidemis Lesidur Shnei Gzire Eitz. So then we say the Meracha. The second smaller maracha takes precedence to the seed placing the two wooden blocks upon the larger pyre. So where do you know that from? The Ksida pasuk says, "Ubiir Allah hakoin eitzim baboker aleha." So it says over there, right? This is Vayikra Vav pasuk. This is the pasuk before. So it says over there, right, that you will have, I'm just reading for the pasuk inside. It says ve'eshal mizbech tukabo lo yisich and then it says u'bi'arleh hakohen eitzim baboker, right? And then he goes ahead, right, and he burns the kohen, the wood baboker. It says boker twice, and then you prepare upon it ha'olah ve'hikter aleh chal beishlam, right? So it says vikter aleh hakohen eitzim baboker aleha on it v'lo chaverta. So you see that you place the logs upon it and not on its on the other one. So Michlal the east of the Chaverta. So the drush is like this. By the fact it says you put the logs on this one, right? On this pyre, the larger pyre, the one with oligos, sounds like there's two existing pyres going on. So therefore, what do you see over here? It must be that before you put on the logs, the Maracha Shnia already has to be set up because you said you put on this one, right? If the Maracha Shnia was not set up yet, you said you'd only put on the only one that's in existence. So it must be the Maracha Gedola, the first one is set up, and the Maracha Shnia is set up in order for you to fulfill the pasuk of Aleha on this one and not on the Maracha Shnia. So therefore, you do the Maracha Gedola, you do the Maracha Shnia, and then you take the two logs and you put it on the Maracha Gedola. The Gufe. What do you mean? Maybe we need for the pasuk. So the Gemara says no. Trelak CV. It says aleha twice in the pasuk, right? It says babok varech aleha haolah v'hiktir aleha chal v'shlam. It says aleha twice. Therefore, we can darshan it. Now, next case, cedar. Right, we're like I don't know, 3/4 of the way down. Cedar. Shnei gzir eitzim kaidel ladishon mizbeach hapnimi. So and then we say, okay, you go ahead, you put the two wooden logs. That comes before the cleaning out of the inner mizbeach hapnimi. So afagav ksiv baboker baboker. Even over here it says baboker ksiv baboker baboker. And also, so not only in the case of placing the two logs, it says baboker twice. Right, or it says baboker twice, right, and it also says in the case of cleaning out the mizbeach, the inner mizbeach, the golden mizbeach on the inside, it says boker, right? It says it twice. Afilu hachi machshir adif. Nevertheless, since this is the machshir, this is the preparation, right? The coal, right, or the wood is the preparation to the mizbeach. So Gemara says, Machshir Ma'iniu. What do you mean Machshir? It's the preparation, right? Shnei Gzir Eitzin, right? You're saying the Shnei Gzir Eitzin, the two wooden logs are considered to be a Machshir, a preparation. V'amarta Shnei Gzir Eitzin l'Maracha Gedola Azli. Didn't you say that the two Shnei Gzir Eitzin are from Maracha Gedola? The Maracha Gedola is not the wood that's brought in for the Ketoras in the inside. So how is it a Machshir for it? Rabbi Yirmiyah, Shum Eitzim. First of all, it's wood, right? In general. So since it's wood, you bring wood on the inside. So therefore, maybe we should do the two logs, the two wood before cleaning out the Mizbech HaPnimi or setting that up. And Ravina Omar, Hoel v'hitzke b'maracha gomer. Says no. Ravina says different story. He says since we already started with the maracha, let's finish up the maracha before we move on to the Mizbech HaPnimi. And Ravina Omar, Hoel v'hitzke b'maracha. Rav Ashi Omar, Ilo mishkach eitzin l'maracha shniya milo ayel maracha gedola. All right, the maracha gedola. Right. We said earlier the svara is if you don't have enough wood from the maracha shniya, you take wood from the maracha rishona. So therefore, in theory, the Maracha Rishona, which has the Shnei Gzira Eitzim, is considered to be a preparation for the Ketaris on the inside, and therefore that is better. That is more of a machshir to the cleaning of the ashes on the Mizbech HaPnimi. 4 lines on the bottom. The Dishim Mizbech HaPnimi Kaidon Atavas Chamesh Neros, and the cleaning of the Mizbech and the inner Mizbech comes before the preparation of the 5 candles. My timer was the reason. Amar Abaye Gemara the Gemira. Right? He says it's a tradition. It's halach l'Moshe Mesinai and Svar Layadina. However, I don't know the Svar. And Rav Omar, Rabbi says, no, I know this. He says, Karesh Lakish, Resh Lakish, Ein Ma'arvir al mitzvahs. We have a concept. One does not pass upon mitzvahs, right? He comes upon a mitzvah. He doesn't pass that mitzvah. He does that first mitzvah that comes to his opportunity, right? That he has opportunity to do before doing something else. All right? Turn the page, top of the page of Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. And therefore, when he enters into the heichal, right? He enters into the heichal. He goes to the ulam. He is in the heichal. What's the first thing that he comes in contact with? Mizbeach. Mizbeach is the first thing he comes to. So therefore, it makes sense to do the mizbeach and not to pass by the mizbeach and go to the menorah. So therefore, since he comes upon the mizbeach first, do the mizbeach before you do the menorah. And where do you know that? The Tanya we learned in Brisa. Shochan b'tzafon. The shochan is on the northern part, which is 2.5 amos from the wall. And the menorah is in the south. It is also 2.5 amos off the wall. And the mizbech is basically equidistant between the north and the south. That's smack in the middle. All right, and it's towards the front, right? Right, it's toward the outer side. In other words, it's basically, so if you look at the ulam, I think it was it 40 by 20 or no 20 by 10 maybe, I forgot. I think it was 40. Anyways, it was closer to the entrance, right? Since it was closer to the end, so it was smack in the middle between north and south, but it was a little closer to the front than it was to the back. But nevertheless, the point is that, so it almost makes like a little triangle, and the first thing you come upon is the mizbech. Why don't you put it in the same location as the menorah and the shulchan, and just put the mizbech right in the middle? So where it says, since the pasuk says ves hamenorah noichach hashulchan, since the pasuk says the menorah shall face the shulchan, but in the chaziyada, they face each other. So therefore, you have all 3 in a row. The menorah won't be facing the shulchan because you have the mizbech in the middle. So therefore, they move the mizbech out of the middle in order for they have the other 2 to be facing one another, for the menorah, menorah and the shulchan to be facing each other, and the mizbech, instead of being smack in the middle, it's moved closer towards the front entrance when you walk in. Fine. Amar Rava, says Rava, around 7 lines on the top of Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. Shma mina midrash Lakish avurei dara atutfasa aser. Right? We learned from over here, right, that the person should not go ahead and pass up his tefillin shel yad, right? Avurei is that which is put on your tefillin shel yad. You should not pass it up to put on your tefillin shel rosh, right? Because, right, if you're going ahead and put on your arm is closer. So therefore, you put on your tefillin shel rosh first, according to this Gemara, right? Then you're passing your arm to put on your tefillin on your head. So if that's the case, what do you do? So so what you do, therefore, go ahead and do your arm, the tefillin shel yad first, and then put on your tefillin shel rosh. Fine. Now back to the order. Then we said, okay, the next thing, you clean on the mizbeach, you do the menorah, 5 candles. Then we said the menorah comes, and then after the 5 candles, the menorah, the preparation of those 5 candles, then comes before the dam hatamid, the blood of the tamid. And then it says v'dam hatamid kaidon hatavas shtei neros. And then the dam hatamid comes before shtei neros. So basically, it's 5 candles of menorah, the blood of the tamid, and then back to the other 2 candles. That's what it says. So my time, we'll soon explain as to why we split up the menorah. So my time, Samar Baye, Hahu, Baboker, Shnei Gzir Eitzim, Deloit Tzicha. Now, we have this Baboker. These 2 Babokers are set by Shnei Gzir Eitzim, they're set by the 2 wooden logs, are not necessary for the pasuk. So therefore, these, it's extra to darshan. Deloit Tzicha. So therefore, Shadinu, we take these 2 Babokers, which tells you morning or early. In other words, you do something early. So we take these 2 bokers and apply it to something else. So Shadinu Lahacha. And so chad shadila tavas chamesh neros. So one is to tell you and we'll explain the why. One is to tell you that 1 boker goes to tavas neros in order that apply that to the tavas neros, which will say that comes before the blood of the tamid. Then the other one will apply to the blood of the tamid. It will say that comes early, that comes in the morning before the other 2 candles. What do you mean? What's going on here? So the one that we said we can use it apply to the preparation of 5 candles to do that before the blood blood service of the tamid. Why? That now is the score. It's 3-2. Right? It says 3-2. It says Baboker three times. How so? Because it says by the Neros, excuse me, it says it 3 times. Right? As the pasuk says, Baboker, Batibas, and Neros Terena. Right? So it says over there 2 times by Neros, and then if we take the extra Boker by Shnei Gzir Eitzim and add it to the 2 existing by Menorah, you now have 3. Right? And then we said the hacha trade, but in the case of the blood of tamid, it only says boker once, right? By the morning tamid, it says boker once, and therefore, even if we say the second boker from the shnei gzer eitzim are added to the 1, it's only 1 + 1 is 2. So therefore, the 3 by the menorah takes precedence to the 2 by the tamid, and therefore we'll do the menorah comes before the blood of the tamid. And now, then we said the then we said the other one applied to damatamid, the nakdimila hatava shtei neros, in order to come before there's 2 neros, and afagav tray. Even though it says by the second time by the neros, there's only 2. No, there's 2 by the neros, and there's 1 of the tamid, and then the extra one of shnei gzir eitzim, and now it's 2 versus 2. Nevertheless, mechaper adif, right? To have kapara, right? That which applies kapara, i.e. the blood of the tamid is a kapara offering, right? The neros are not associated with atonement. So therefore, kapara is adif. Therefore, we'll say that the blood of the tamid comes before the other 2 candles of menorah. So Amar Leirav Papa Labaye ve'ema chad shadul. Let's blow up your whole svara. You said 1 applied to the menorah, that it comes before the blood of tamid, and the other one applied to the blood of tamid that comes before the last 2 candles of menorah. Let's blow that up. What about this? Let's say one of the bokers we can apply to the cleaning of the mizbech hapnimi, to say that comes before the blood of the tamid, which we already established, right? Because we can say by the dishin of mizbech hapnimi, it says baboker twice over there, and now we have the 3rd one from the case of shnei gzir. It's in there, verse 3. And the case of the tamid would only be 2. The other one would be that we said that applies by the damatamid, which is say 1 from the pasuk itself, and the other one, the extra 1 that we darshan from shnei gzir eitzim, the nikdum la'tavas chamesh neros, and therefore we'll say that comes now. That will cause the tamid to become for atavas neros, and even though the score is 2-2, the afagad the hakatrei, even though each one is 2, mechaper adif, we'll say the kapara is adif. We'll say the damatamid comes before the neros. So in other words, according to this, we'll say clean out the mizbeach, do the blood of tamid, and then get to the menorah. So the Gemara says, "Im kain afsuke b'mayim avsakas lahu." If that's the case, what are you breaking up the menorah with? In other words, according to your order now, you do clean out the mizbeach, the blood of the tamid, 5 candles of the menorah, 2 candles of the menorah. You're doing all the menorah together. All right, and we'll soon see why we split it up, right? Say nichla reish lakish damer lama mativin v'chayz mativin. According, so this works out well as there's a machlokes. Hey, why do we split up the candles menorah? Why don't you just do all 7 at the same time? Why do you do it 5 and 2? Right? What's going on here? So why do we do it the hatava and then we go back, we do it again. Kadei lahargish kol hazara kula. In order that basically people should know that this should create a buzz, right? That they're preparing the menorah, that their people are talking about it. So no, it's if you drag it out, you do it 5 and 2, you do it 2 different times. Therefore, there's more, right? It becomes more known, right, to the public, right? So therefore, right? So therefore, Shapir, it's okay. In other words, even though because you're not doing, even though you're doing 5 and 2, right? You're still sort of right doing it in 2 parts, right? Even though it's in a row, there's nothing separating, but still 5 and 2. El Rabbi Yechon, according to Rabbi Yechon, the Omar baboker, when it says baboker twice by the menorah, chalkul l'shnei bokerim, you have to do it in 2 different parts of the morning. It can't be together. It can't be back-to-back avodas. You have to have an avodah in the middle. According to that, it doesn't work out. Michael and Maimer, what are you going to say then, right? You can't do then the cleaning of the mizbeach, inner mizbeach, and then the blood of the tamid, and then menorah, because you need something in between the menorahs, right? Put the dam tamid in between. Samarlei, Ravin, Ravashi, hi. So he says, Samarlei, Ravin, Ravashi, hi, baboker, the eitzim, miyasula. So he says, well, okay, so we scratch that. So what about this baboker, the eitzim miyaser? Are we saying that the boker that appears twice, which we use to darshan and say, okay, since it doesn't apply by shnei gzir eitzim, let's apply it by other cases, by the menorah, by the damatamid. So miyaser, is it extra? Hami boile legufe, right? You need it for the pasuk. Dekama rachmana nikdim l'maracha shniya shakteras. We said over there that we use it over there to darshan that baboker is used for the maracha gedola, to that it comes before the Maracha Shniya. Did we not already darshan when it says the word aleha? It means right v'lo chaverta. In other words, that both pyres are already set up. In other words, that you put it on the Maracha Gedola, not the Maracha Shniya. It must be that there's 2 applies, and therefore the word baboker is extra because I don't need to do it early because I already says that you place upon it, and the other two fires are existent before you put it on the Shnei Gzir Eitzim. And my Shna David Hatabas Chamesh Neros Bereisha, Navatash Neros Bereisha. First, also, why do you do the 5 before the 2? Why don't you do the 2 before the 5? So the Gemara says, no, right? So once you started, then you should do the rov, you should do the majority, showing more cover. Why don't you do 6, right? Do 6 and 1, right? You want to split up, do 6 and 1. Samakra, the pasuk says, it says over there, when you prepare the neros, right? Neros plural, and there is no neros less than 2. So where do we know that Hatavas the shake? Now, okay, so now we're moving along the timeline, right? So he said over there, he comes inside, cleans out the inner mizbeach, he goes to the menorah, does the 5 candles, does the blood of the tamid, comes back to the menorah, does the other 2 candles. Now what's next? That comes before the burning of the incense. The Omar, the pasuk says, it says over there the burning of the neros. And afterwards, same pasuk says yaktirena. You should go ahead and offer the k'taros. The k'taros leivar. And where do we know that the k'taros, the incense, is burned before the limbs are burned on mizbeach? The Tanya we learn on the Brisa. Yukdam. It says over there Yukdam davar shnemar baboker ledavar shalonemar bo ela boker echad. So since it says baboker twice by the k'taros, but when it says by the Ivarim, it only says Boker once. So therefore, we burn the Mutaras before we go ahead and we burn the Ivarim. The Ivarim the Mincha, and how do we know? Okay, the limbs come before the Mincha. The time going to Bryce. How do you know that nothing comes before the Tamid Shel Shachar? There's no other offerings, right? And part of the Tamid Shel Shachar is the burning of the Ivarim. The Tamalaymar, therefore it says, it says you burn upon it the ola. In other words, right? It says ha'ola, you appear on it, right? It means that the ola rishona, since it says the word ha'ola means the ola rishona. Therefore, the ola rishona should completely be offered, and by completely offered it means not only the blood and the shechita and the kabbalas adam and the zrikas adam, but even the burning of the limbs should come before anything else is brought, which includes the mincha. All right, we'll stop here. So Sunday, Mirza Hashem, 6:45. Sunday, Mirza Hashem. Everyone have a good day and a good shot.
Yoel, 10 seconds. Is this same concept? This is Ein Ma'avirim? Ein Ma'avirim al mitzvah? Is that the same? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Well, that's
Okay.
what we had before. Yeah.
Okay, but that's the, okay, fine. I didn't know if it's a separate thing. All right, thank you.